Nothing like following up the Tour de France with its non-stop string of first and second category climbs with a nice, simple one-day race of first and second category climbs. Still, at least we're free of the world's least aware rights holder. Yeah, just come up to you after a race. That's easy to do. Anyway, Clasica San Sebastian, known to a post-USADA world as the race that made Lance dope. It's a hilly course, for sure, but the decisive climbs are more long than steep, and even then, they're not really that long, especially if you're coming off the Tour de France, which most of the main contenders are. The day's action began with a break, no teammates of overwhelming favorites, one of the local squads represented for some TV time, except that I couldn't find live coverage before 54K, so sorry, Caja Rural, no footage for you. Lamprey's Luca Wackerman and Cannondale's Matthias Kreisig did hold out over the first ascents of the Heiskebel and Arcale climbs, pursued by an entirely legit group, including Pavel Brut, Sylvain Chavanel, and later joined by Juan Antonio Flecha and Nicolas Roche. This chase caught the leaders at the foot of the Heiskebel with 44K to go. Let's show some roundabouts and traffic furniture to remind everyone that this is still a classic, because it's going to start feeling like the Tour de France about now. Movistar set a vicious tempo, allowing Valverde and Quintana to ride Greg Van Avermaet off their wheels. Ahead, Flecha set tempo, reducing the break to 5, and then 4 as I think Roche sits up. I think this because despite Valverde and Quintana only needing a few seconds to bridge to the break, Roche reappears half a K later with teammate Roman Kreuziger in tow, and then pulls the plug as soon as he makes contact. A few more stragglers catch on, Valverde accepts some water from a shirtless stranger, and Quintana drops the hammer. There was some fuss between the camera motos at the back about now, and out of that chaos came a lone chaser, Radio Shack's Tony Galopin, who just got the tail of the leaders. Back in the second group, things were not going so well as Roche set false tempo, marked attacks, and eventually leapt away solo, decreasing the effectiveness of an already shaky chase. Around 39K, Quintana finally ran out of steam, and in another step for Colombian cycling, they appear to have developed the first Freds among their fanbase, cheering madly for a guy clearly coasting back to the Gruppetto. And it no longer looks like the Tour because Belkin is now catching Quintana. Oh man, I'm sorry. Anyway, Kreuziger took Quintana's absence as a cue to attack the now isolated Valverde with Roche up front to mark any chase. The Czech held his lead over the top with the next 7 riders within 8 seconds. An eventual regrouping led to a sizable gap for the chase behind, but never tell Chavanel he can't bridge across because, wait for it, he can. Of course, making a move with a rider from the home team doesn't hurt either. By 19K to go, the leading 10 were all together, but no one wanted to set pace. As chasers began catching up at the foot of the final ascent of the Arcale, Galopin accelerated from a few wheels back and opened an immediate gap. Roche and Mikel Landa, each having teammates behind, eventually got around to responding, but were still 16 seconds down on Galopin at the top. A rain-slick descent made for some ginger corners and some more questionable moto pacement, but as the group shook out in the final descent, Galopin couldn't have been happier, nursing a 20-second lead over a 5-man chase consisting of a fast-finishing Valverde, Roche and Kreuziger from Saxo-Tinkoff, and Landa and Nieve from Euskaltel. Neither of the teams wanted to close the gap for the other, and no one wanted to tow Valverde, so 8 kilometers of looking back and awkward pace-lining later, Galopin was rewarded for his early initiative with a win. Despite a solid lead-out from Roche, Valverde's turn of speed put him across the line in second, with a commendable challenge from Kreuziger in third. I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that's how the race was won.
Glad to see you. I had a funny dream and you were wearing